Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline. I am your host, the voice of the Hump Day Hotline and the Overreaction Bills podcast. That's right, I said Bills. The season's officially over. What are they going to do? Come after me? Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. You are watching the Hump Day Hotline. Hump Day. What day is it? It's Hump Day. Mike. What day is it? And whatever you're doing, wherever you're living, whatever this day has brought you, we are here to talk Buffalo Bills football. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to, if you're watching on Twitter especially, or Periscope, jump over to YouTube. Jump into YouTube. That is where literally all of the action is. That's where Bills Mafia is tonight. They're going to be on Twitter. They're going to be live. They're going to be loud. They're going to be in charge. They're going to be running things tonight. You can also watch on Facebook. There's a good commentary. There's a good base of fans that are on Facebook as well. However, this is your night. Tonight, we're going to talk. We're going to put to bed the Miami Dolphins. The Buffalo Bills had the Dolphins come into town and crushed the dreams of our division rivals, as we like to say. And I think we're all really happy about that. We're going to talk about that for about 30 minutes. After that, my guy Clay Troya is going to join us at the bottom of the hour, 9:30, and we are going to preview the Colts game, the first Buffalo Bills WILDCARD playoff game against the Colts. And Ryan Thiel, welcome into the show. You sent me a super sticker. I don't know what that is, but thank you. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but there's a whole bunch of guys in here. Liam's in here, like everybody's up in here tonight. The Crazy Killers are in here. DK Metcalf? No, just DK. What's up, brother? Good to see you in the show. My guy Richard Rush is in the show tonight. Ryan's in the show. Matt, where'd you go, Matt? Matt H, welcome into the show. There's a whole bunch of y'all up in here, and you guys were stacking up early tonight. Sheldon Cole is in the show, is up in the house. There's just a bunch of you. So this is what I want you to do. Whatever platform you were watching on, hopefully not Twitter. Twitter's just not great. Share this thing. Like it. Share it. Jump on the like button. Hump the like button, as we like to say. It gets our metrics up, and what that does is it attracts more people to the show. But I want to know how everybody's feeling tonight. How does 13-3 feel for the Mafia? And you can't talk back to me. I wish you could, but I want to know how 13 feels with the Mafia. If you've got, so here's the thing. If you want to talk to me, you do that through the comment section, just like Scott Van Loo just did. And if you want to get my attention, you super chat me, just like Scott Van Loo did. Scott, thank you for being a part of the show tonight. What do you think of Kenny Stills signing? Do you think Sean McDermott will use him in the playoffs in replace of Cole Beasley? And how many reps will he get? So here's what I think. I think that it's two-part. I think there's two parts to the Kenny Stills signing. One part is absolutely what's going on with Cole Beasley. What's going on with his, I think it's either his foot or his knee. I thought it was his knee, then I heard it was his foot. I'm not sure. I know he did not practice today. But I would venture to guess that you're going to see Kenny Stills in the lineup if Cole Beasley is hurt. However, they put him on the protected list this week, if I'm not mistaken. The real reason outside of that insurance that I believe Kenny Stills was signed was because Jake Kumaro was signed off of our practice squad. So, Scott, thank you for the question. That's actually a really good question. I know a lot of Bills Mafia are wondering about Kenny Stills. I know a lot of you want to see him on the field. I would tell you this, or I would ask you this question. The Bills have been basically making 6 wide receivers active every football game. Which is, McKenzie's in that number. Here's the question. So you've got Diggs, Beasley, Gabriel Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, Andre Roberts, and then usually there's a 6th one. If they're going to bring in Stills, this is my question. Who do they sit? Right? So that's John Brown is the other one. If they bring Stills in, if Stills is going to be active on Sundays or on game days, like this weekend, if Beasley's playing, who's going to sit? Are they going to sit McKenzie? Are they going to sit Gabriel Davis? Are they going to sit? They're not sitting John Brown, especially after the comeback game that he had against Miami, his first game back in 3 or 4 weeks, whatever, it's been 5 weeks. So that's the question you got to ask yourself. So my guess is he's here for insurance for Beasley, primarily here because Kumaro got signed off the practice squad. So, yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. Ryan, welcome again back into the show. Thank you for the super chat. Did you see Lee Smith doing the salsa when Little Dirty scored for the 3rd time? I did. It was funny. Who had Isaiah McKenzie with 3 touchdowns? I know, and the funny thing is I tweeted that. And when I tweeted it, there was a whole bunch of people that were like, well, somehow some of y'all had fantasy football leagues going until week 17. That is such an archaic thing of the past. Like that's a league you want to get out of. You do not want to be in a fantasy football league that goes to week 17. So there was a bunch of y'all that had McKenzie in the game because you guys had to play players week 17. But yeah, I didn't have McKenzie with 3 touchdowns in that football game. It was nice to see. It was nice to see him get playing time. It was nice to see him kind of really kind of come up into his own. The couple passes he had were great. More importantly, if you watched the Orlovsky breakdown, Dan Orlovsky breakdown, the pass protection block that he had was incredible. This is my guy Bobby Ray. Bobby Ray is up in the house, one of the founders of Buffalo Fanatics. He says, "Hump that like." I'm with you, Bobby Ray. Everybody, wherever you are, there's 62 likes right now on YouTube, and we got way more people than that up in here. Way more people than 64. Oh, it's 64 now. Look at that. I reached over to grab my volume. Maybe I should turn the volume up again. If I turn the volume up, does that make the likes go up? Let me see. Hang on. Now it's at up 67. It works. So I think I have finally figured out the matrix. If I turn the volume up on my interface for my headphones, the likes go up. Rico, somebody tell Rico and Pierre that I figured out the secret. That's a joke. You guys are just awesome. So keep that like button going. Hump that like. Jump on that thing. Do I think Diggs will play? Yes, Diggs is going to play football this weekend. He just basically said that it's precautionary and don't read into everything you read or everything you hear, is what he kind of said. But this is not going to happen. Butt sniper, nice. Rumors that JJ Watt's coming to Buffalo. Anybody heard? JJ Watt is not coming to Buffalo. He has not been released by the Houston Texans, and the trade deadline has passed a very, very long time ago. But this past weekend, where's Spence? Where's my guy Spence? There he is. There's my guy. What's up, Jay Spence, my bestie? I'm feeling, so you know how like in Star Wars, for those of you that are Star Wars fans, that like, you know, when Luke, whenever he was near Darth Vader, like he could feel his presence. So I'm going to the football game this weekend, which we're going to talk about, this Colts game, our first playoff game on Saturday, 1:00. And I'm going with Jay Spence. And I can feel his presence. I feel like Jay Spence is near. Is that a little weird? Do you guys kind of get what I'm talking about right there? Living on the DL, Jay Spence. He's not in the house, but he's in the vicinity, if you know what I'm saying. Jay Spence, send me the link. Dude, don't front, bro. Don't front. See, this is me copying the link right now. I don't know where you were at. Don't you front, bro. Don't make me call that bluff as I'm navigating over to Twitter. Where you at? Where's my guy at? I got to do a search. I got to do a search for Jay Spence right now. Y'all might get a special guest tonight that you were not expecting, and I was not expecting either. Come on, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? I'm gonna send this to Bruce Nolan and Spence. How about that? So y'all know what's up. So I just called his bluff. Just so everybody knows, I just called Jay Spence's bluff. He just got the invite. The question is will he use it? We shall see. And truth be told, Bruce Nolan got it too, because it was a joint chat between me, Bruce Nolan, and him. Anyways, y'all are on fire tonight. A whole bunch of y'all up in here. Thank you so much. It's good to be here. Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline. My name is Joe Miller. I am your host, and Scott Van Loo back in again. I was sick. Davis or Smokes? We don't know. Smoke is 100%. And if we do put in Stills, because he hasn't played the system before, minimizes his reps. That is true. There's an aspect of what Stills does and not really being familiar. He's going to get some time. My guess is that 5 days where Kenny Stills had to wait, clear COVID protocols before the Bills could actually bring him in and sign him and do all that stuff. He probably had the playbook. So Scott, he's probably been doing his share of studying, if that makes any sense. Look at this guy. What's up, cutie?
What did you do with that? What's up?
What's up, cutie? Hey, I got that. Oh, you got the good hat. I got the other hat.
Yeah, I got the joint.
What's going on, my guy? How are you? He's got people. I'm cool. He's got people. He's got people talking to him.
Everybody just wanted to make sure I had good lighting. They're like, "You need better lighting. You good?" I was like, "No, I'm cool. I'm cool."
It is a playoff edition. It's a playoff edition of the Hump Day Hotline with everybody's guy, Jay Spence the King. Welcome into the show, Jay Spence the King. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm good. I'm happy to be home.
Yeah, a little bit cold.
A lot of bit cold. A lot of it.
A lot of it cold. Well, welcome into the show. How do you feel? And I listened to your pod yesterday, and obviously you've listened to you've consumed my podcast at this point. How do you feel coming up? So we've got we've let it simmer, right? We've let it kind of settle. We've let it kind of age a little bit, that football game against the Dolphins, where I truly believe that it didn't matter if Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs played or not. The Buffalo Bills were winning that football game. They were in fuego that game. How's that game sitting with you post game at this point?
Well, for me, I wanted them to play. I didn't think they would play the whole game, but
agreed.
For me, I think it was important for them to keep the momentum going that they had. You see year after year where some teams who get a bye just don't look as hot as they were prior to. Or now, this is a different take. This is a complete. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate you, sir. But this is a different take. The thing is, I think a lot of times, teams who end up with the bye, especially if they weren't playing well, I think that we should be less afraid of Kansas City at this point. They weren't playing well going into what now is their bye, and they gave the team a week off, their starters, for last week.
Yeah.
So I think going into the playoffs now, you got 2 weeks off pretty much by the time you play your first game. I don't see them being, the dominant team that that they were last year. And I think this year the Buffalo Bills are as hungry as they were last year.
That's good.
So it's just a different. I just think it's a different thing. So I wanted the Bills to play. I wanted Josh Allen to come out and just dominate like he did. I wanted to see Steph Diggs say, you know what? I don't even need a full game to show you that I'm better. Let me get a half, and I can still give you 85 yards. That's what I wanted to see.
But where is your confidence level now coming out? Like what stratosphere are you in with this football team, knowing that our backups probably could have hung 40 on them? Like we probably didn't need Allen and Diggs in that football game. Like where's your confidence level with this football team right now?
Dude, I'm on a million, man. I feel like, and I know you and I we text about it, and a lot of times I won't tweet it because, I don't want to look stupid, but I feel like we're there. Honestly, throughout my entire adult life and even my childhood life, I've never been more confident in a football team that I claimed as my own. This is the best football team that I've been a fan of.
Yeah.
Best.
I'm with you so much. Dan Mitchell, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being a part of the show. Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline.
Hey, what up, Dan?
We'll be over by halftime. I'm ready for another slaughter. So let's talk about that for a second, because and you listen to my show, and I know a lot of people on here did as well. Right before I recorded, literally, I sat down, I got my notes finished, and I hopped over, I took a sip of my water, I hopped over onto social media just to check one last thing before I was going to record, and that's when the news dropped that it was a 105 game on Saturday, and it just sent me sideways. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me right now. The only good thing that I've heard about that time slot is the NFL is expecting the Bills to blow the Colts out of the water. And that's not good football. They're kind of burying this football game because they want the more competitive games when people are going to be watching. Where are your thoughts on us being at 105 on Saturday versus primetime, 8 o'clock on Saturday or 8:20 on Sunday?
Well, there's two parts to it. The first part is I'm happy because now we get to go to the game and we get to leave in time to watch the other two games and enjoy them.
You selfish.
Yeah, I am. I'm selfish because the playoffs, this is the best football all year. So so I'm selfish in that regards, to where it's like, okay, we get to go early and then we get to go home and watch the games. But the part that I don't like is the fact that, kind of like you said, we're a better team than any other team that's in the playoffs. We absolutely should have a primetime. Why wouldn't we have we're better than everybody except, because we lost to them this year. We're better than everybody except the Titans and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The other team that we lost again, I don't even want to acknowledge.
It's true. Yeah, exactly. So here's my question. Talk about your boy, Isaiah McKenzie.
Man, did Isaiah McKenzie not come out there and look like a boss?
Dude, I remember the quote of quotes, and I know you've got a relationship with Isaiah. I know that you guys text back and forth. The quote of quotes for me, going all the way back, is you asked him tough questions, and you talk about mine and your relationship, and you and I vibe off each other, and it's like, I ask you, what should I talk about her? And you ask me, what questions should I ask? And I specifically remember, because this was one of the first big interviews you had with a Bills player. And I was like, well, you can either lob him softballs, which is what everybody does, or you can ask him hard questions. And you took the hard road. You're like, that's it. I'm going to ask him hard questions. And you said, yeah, this wide receiver room is stacked. What happens if you don't make the team? And he said, I know that this receiver room is going to make me better. And if I'm with them for long enough, I can catch on someplace else and shine. Talk about him, because he's shining on this roster, right? Did I lose you?
Oh, remember, you're right. To your point. No, you can hear me?
No, I can hear you now. You're frozen, but you're fine. I can hear you. Yep, talk. You're good.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. So to your point, well, can you see my picture though? Am I frozen in that regard?
You have been released from the freezer.
Okay. My bad. So to your point, Isaiah McKenzie, I remember when I had the interview, and even prior to, a lot of people were saying stuff like, yeah, but we don't trust him in special teams, so really we shouldn't keep him at all. If we're going to keep Andre Roberts, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Here's the thing. I pounded the table, I pounded walls, I pounded doors. And I'm like, look, Isaiah McKenzie is growing. They're developing him the same way they're developing Josh Allen. When they're done with Andre Roberts, Isaiah McKenzie is that guy. And we got a glimpse of that this past Sunday. And all the things that people were complaining about, like, hey, he fumbles too much, or he does this when he's back there returning punts. Guess what? He went out there this past Sunday and told Josh, I'm about to score, man. Don't even put that helmet on. Don't worry about it. And he did it. That's the type of team we have, man. That's the swag we taking into the playoffs, and I love it.
It's awesome. It's incredible. And just so everybody knows, you're probably going to get some special extra content from Jay Spence and myself this week, because we're going to be together quite a bit, which is good for the Mafia and good for those that like to consume Buffalo Bills content. So Scott Van Loo, excuse me, with another super chat up in here. I got a question for Jay Spence. Jay Spence, this one's just for you. And your opinion, if we keep Rivers in the pocket and get him rattled and keep Taylor contained, do you think we can put up 56 like we did on Miami? That's a good question.
To be honest, I'm not nervous about the Colts. Now, if you listen to the Code of Conduct this week, I have my uncle who lives in Indiana right now. He's been out there for like 25 something years. And one of the things that I mentioned to him is, look, I don't care if we keep Rivers in the pocket or not. He's not a mobile quarterback.
Right.
He's not Josh Allen of yesterday. He's not, Aaron Rodgers. I'm not nervous about him extending plays. The thing that I'm worried about is if we give him time. So if you put, Rivers in the pocket and let him just throw it, he will pick you apart. I don't think that's going to happen.
Sure.
So as far as the Colts, though, man, I think the Bills have them. Like, it's one of those things where we're clicking in all three phases: offense, defense, special teams. The Colts have their hands full. The thing that I'm worried about with the Colts is Jonathan Taylor, and that's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
For sure. No, and it's so that's a really, really good point. And for me, Rivers right now strikes me as the same type of player that Mullins was. Before we played the 49ers, my comment about Mullins is you've got quarterbacks that, because Mullins' numbers weren't bad. Like his completion percentage was high. If he was blitzed, his completion percentage was higher. But there's quarterbacks out there that can hurt you. And then there's quarterbacks out there that don't. They've got decent numbers, but they can't hurt you. And that's kind of the world that Phillip Rivers is in right now. Like, his completion percentage is like 68%, right behind Josh's. His touchdowns are good. He's actually been sacked less, which speaks to their offensive line, because that dude has cement shoes like nobody does. But he's not a quarterback right now that's going to hurt you, whereas Josh Allen is a guy that's going to hurt you, right?
His shoulder shot too, to me. Like I know he threw like my uncle mentioned, he threw a long ball that was intercepted. It was like a 45-yard pass that was intercepted last week. Right. But even that, to me, like, I think the reason it was intercepted, first, it was a bad pass, but he just doesn't have the zip on the ball that he used to have when he was, with the Chargers and in San Diego all those years. So honestly, like, I feel like Phillip Rivers will win or lose this game for the Chargers. Like,
right.
It's one of those things where he's going to either throw 2 interceptions, or it's going to be one of those games where it's like, okay, he's the smartest guy because he's been in the league for however many years. True. And he makes good decisions. But I just don't see it. I think the way the team, the way the Buffalo Bills are playing right now, they're dominant and they don't care. It's dominant in a way of like they want to be the bullies.
Yeah,
it's like
Josh spoke to it. Josh spoke to it. Josh said, like, because somebody asked him about running up the score, and it was Barkley, and they were just like, "Look, we just go until coach says to stop." And that's basically what they're doing. So they're not trying to run it up, but that game didn't strike me as a game that they were purposely trying to run up the score. If you're running cover 0, the only option they have is to throw over the top on you, like block it up and throw over the top.
Joe, come on, man. You see those Miami fans talking that. Here's the thing. Josh Allen didn't play past the second quarter.
Right.
We had players who, like, for instance, Isaiah McKenzie was returning punts and playing special teams the whole day. Andre Roberts didn't return a punt. So if you're mad that our second string punt returner ran a touchdown back, sorry.
And that
if you're mad that Isaiah McKenzie caught 2 touchdown catches, sorry. He's not normally the starter.
Isaiah McKenzie, so the fastest guy probably on the football field, scores a touchdown on you when he not only does he not just break it off on the punter and go around the left side, he stops and cuts back inside and takes off again.
Embarrassing, bro. Embarrassing.
Yeah, John Spascheck up in the house, the market dominator. Hey. For those of you that don't know who the market dominator is, my good friend, John Spascheck. Where you at, John? Right over there. What's up, John? Thank you for being a part of the show. John is the primary sponsor for the Overreaction Sports Podcast, which is my show. So love John. We keep talking about Josh and Diggs slaughtering other teams, but as a whole, our coaches have massively outcoached every opponent in the last 6 weeks. Talk about it. That's
a good comment.
I was talking to John today. And he was talking about the fact that we outcoached Belichick. Our coaching staff outcoached Robert Saleh. The list is becoming long and distinguished of the guys that we're beginning to outcoach, if that makes sense. Talk about it.
Now I will say, in respect to Bill Belichick and the roster that he has, because I do believe if he had better talent, that game obviously would have been different.
Oh, it would have been different.
Yeah, it would have been a completely different game. But with the talent that he has this year, I mean, Sean McDermott absolutely for the second game. The first game, Sean McDermott lost the coaching battle. We won the game, but he lost the coaching battle that game, in my opinion. This second game around, Sean McDermott destroyed him. It wasn't even close. But I also, like I said, with respect to the fact that the talent on the team just isn't I don't think it's fair. Even, and I know this wasn't the question, but the comparison that they're doing with Tom Brady and Coach Belichick, look, Brady went to a team that has Chris Godwin, 2 all-pro players in wide receiver room outside of Chris Godwin. You got an all-pro tight end or ex-all-pro tight end, ex-all-pro running back, ex-all-pro. If Tom Brady didn't have a better season than Bill Belichick, you should have felt bad for him. Something was wrong. So I'm not taking it for Bill Belichick, but I think it's a ridiculous argument when you can sit here and say, well, no, Bill Belichick is he needed Brady more than Brady needed Bill Belichick. No, they had a perfect roster. That's why they did what they did.
They needed each other for sure. They absolutely. Another super chat, Mike Lazinski. Welcome into the show. Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline. We're on the fast track to the AFC title game. Bills will crush the Colts. If Pittsburgh wins, we have them next. That will be another stomping. There's not a whole lot that a lot of us are afraid of in this AFC playoff run. There's not a whole lot that the national media is afraid of as far as when they consider who the Bills are going to play, who they might be up against. The thing that people are talking about is, and you've talked about it, and I've talked about it on another show, is if there's a letdown. So the question is if there's a letdown, which there's always the chance that the team comes out flat. They're just not feeling it. They're not executing. They're seeing something they didn't see. The coaches can't overcome it. The question is if it's on Josh, can the rest of the team rally around him and pick him up, right? Or vice versa. If the defense has a let up, so they come up against an opponent that just is throttling or thrashing the defense, can Josh outscore them? That's the question. So are we in a position now where no matter what happens, no matter what adversity we face, even if they are flat, can they keep this train rolling?
Well, I mean, the way Josh has been playing, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anybody who can stop Josh when he's playing the way he's played the last 3 weeks. But the issue that I have is that there's times when you look at Josh where even when it looks like he's rolling, when you look at his stats and his stats are perfect. So that's what I'm saying. I know I look like the Debbie Downer. I sound like the negative guy when I critique the running game. But here's the thing. There are games where Josh, he'll have the yards and he might end up with the touchdowns that he ends up with. But when you watch in context and you watch the game, you realize, okay, Josh didn't start the game off the way we want Josh to normally start the game off. And that's not saying he's a bad quarterback. It's just saying, okay, this week wasn't his week. That's okay. It happens. It happens with everyday work. Sometimes, I don't know what everybody else does for work, but I'm sure me and you, Joe, there's days that we go to work and it's just not as good as the day before. It happps.
No, I'm perfect.
So when that happens,
I'm perfect every day.
Yeah, Joe got me beat. But so when that happens, though, what we need, and the debate about the running game can go on or whatever. But what we need is to be able to still be able to score points. You want to be able to score 17 to 21 points without having a dominant offensive passing game. Because if Josh can't throw, you saw the 3 or 4 game period where he had a strained shoulder.
No, it was partially separated, sprained. Yes.
Okay, so when you see that, he had an injury, and even though he still had good play, it wasn't up to par with what we saw in the weeks prior and now the weeks after.
Right.
And what happens is, if we don't have a game that can complement Josh when he's not his best, we're going to see games like the Titans game, and we're going to see games like the Chiefs game. Now, I think we're better than the Chiefs. I think we're better than the Titans. And I'm not saying it as I'm not being a homer. I know everybody always accuses all of us content creators in Buffalo of being homers, but I feel like all season we've been right more than we've been homers. It's just been, look, we're looking at this team, and we see that Josh Allen has developed into this beast. He's this godly type quarterback. He looks like Zeus out there on the field. Right. Like, it's different. And you have receivers that complement him. You have everything that complements him. But when you take away the passing game, then what are we going to do?
Yep.
And that's my only beef.
Truth of Hearts with the Super Chat asks you the question, and I have an answer. I'll be interested to see if yours is the same as mine, which it probably will be. How did McDermott lose the coaching battle in the first round against the Patriots? It was literally run versus run. Answer that question.
I guess so it was run versus run, but here's the thing. When you go into the game and you know that Bill Belichick doesn't have a quarterback this year that can throw it. Now, as big of a Cam Newton fan as I am, I'm being honest. Cam Newton is not the quarterback that he was 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Adam Schefter would disagree.
Well, Adam,
did you see his tweet today?
No, I didn't.
Shefty tweeted today that the best landing spot for Cam Newton is, and I quote, Washington, the Washington football team, and they could easily get him for 2 years, 40 to 50 million.
I'm gonna tell you something. I agree with Shefty.
He hasn't played worth $1 million, let alone 20 a year.
Well, here's the thing. I tell you what. No, and I'm not. This is again. I'm not being a homer with this because I'm a Cam fan, so I consider that being homer takes.
I know.
Cam hasn't had anybody to throw to, man. Like when you're throwing to me, that's a problem.
He'll have McLaurin out there. He'll have McLaurin out there, but I don't know.
You go to Washington. You got Thomas. You got McLaurin. You got a running game. It's different than New England. New England has nothing.
20 million's a lot, dude. 20 million a year is a lot.
I wouldn't give him 20 million. I would give him 12.
So for me, the reason that the Bills lost that coaching matchup for me is because they went run versus run versus doing what they did the second game, which was, you
let them take you out of your game.
Yeah, and that's what they need to make sure that they focus on in this playoff series. We're just going to be us, and you stop us. If you stop us, we'll adjust. If you can't, I don't know what to tell you. Eric Schmidt with the Super Chat. Thank you for being a part of the show. Eric, welcome into the Hump Day Hotline. I believe that a big part of Allen's rise to power has been his newfound powers of defensive diagnosis, pre-snap. His football IQ is out of this world. He will be able to bend the Colts D to his will. Well, he's done that with every defense that he's played in the last 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that because, Eric, what you just said, I agree with 100%. Like, the amount of baffled, confused, we'll call them defensive geniuses, Robert Saleh, Vic Fangio, whoever the guy is in Tampa with Mike Tomlin, or not Tampa, in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, and then obviously this past weekend with Brian Flores, all of them did not have an answer for Josh Allen. Josh Allen literally was just not toying with them, but let's be honest, on Good Morning Football, I think Kyle Brandt said that like it got to the point where Josh Allen was just toying with them. It's like, you know what? I'm going to throw it to this guy. I'm going to throw it to that guy.
Well,
I'm going to throw it to this guy.
Let me ask that guy. Question, Joe.
Yeah.
Let me ask that honest question. So last week played the passing.
Hang on. You got the ping and pong. You're breaking up. Wait, you're breaking up. Start over.
Oh, okay. You got me?
Yep, and go.
Okay. So I said last week we played the league's #1 best passing defense prior to the week. Right? The week before that, we played the Patriots, who normally, Bill Belichick has like just this phenomenal defense, right? Josh Allen is having his way against any defense, every defense, the best defense, the worst defense, cover 0, cover 2, cover 1, cover whatever you want to cover. You can cover your mama if you feel like it. It don't matter. Josh is out there eating.
Nickels, dimes, man, zones, you name it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can cover what you want. It don't matter. So
That's right.
my fear isn't the Colts. Like I know they have a couple defensive players that are legit. I'm not scared of the Colts. I'm not scared of, when you look at the defensive ratings in the playoffs, I would say maybe in the AFC, you figure Pittsburgh has to be at the top of those rankings. What do we do to Pittsburgh's defense?
Right.
I'm not nervous, man. The thing that makes me nervous is us. It's not about anybody else at this point. It's about, can we maintain this hunger all the way through to the end?
Let me get through a couple of these super chats. Clay Troya is backstage. He's getting ready to come on. Clay, can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. He can hear me. Billy Scott, we got a Titans fan up in the house. Welcome.
Let's get it.
Mr. Titan fan. You are a homer. Laugh out loud. For real, though, go beat the Colts for us Titans fans. And always tighten up and good luck on Saturday. It's funny because it's hard for me to, what is the word? You just had a guy run up like 260 yards against you and you barely beat a 4-12 football team. And you're telling us that we're homers. It's just like,
I can't respect the Titans. No, I don't.
Oh, no, I guess,
I'm sorry, Billy.
Wrong. I got that backwards. You ran 260 yards up on them. And almost
their run game's legit, but I don't respect their quarterback. And I know he looks a lot better since he left Adam Gase. I still don't respect Tannehill, man. Like, I just don't. If he didn't have that running game, he would not look like he looks. It just is what it is.
Bruce says in the first Pats matchup, both teams ran. For one of those teams, running is stronger relative to passing Pats. For one of them, running is weaker relative to passing Bills. So, like, every time Bruce tweets, it's like words, big words, bigger words, big words, big words. Like, okay, what he said.
We told Bruce the other day, we're like, yeah, Bruce, we love listening to your show because it's awesome, but we hate it because you're smarter than everybody. It's he makes me feel dumb every time I listen to him.
Cover 1, cover 0, undercover, cushion cover, doesn't matter. Bills by a billion. Caitlin Blunt says Henry is a beast, and he is a damn beast. So here's my question. So it is the bottom of the hour. I'm 3 minutes late, but that's okay because I brought Clay in 5 minutes early last week. Do you want to stick around? Do you want to bounce out? What do you want to do?
I say hi to Clay and then let y'all do y'all thing, man. I'm happy that I'm home, and I'm happy I get to kick it with Bills Mafia this week, man. I'm really looking forward to this. So let me say what's up to Clay, and then I'll watch and be a spectator.
Well, there he is. Say hi.
Oh, geez. What's up, man?
How's it going?
Yeah, man, it's going all right. Like I said, I'm in town. I was watching like I normally do, but when Joe was on there talking his talk, I said, man, send me that link, man. Let me jump in.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I'm assuming you came up, got your test done and everything like that, and you're just hanging out till Saturday now?
Yep, we're good to go. We still have to get tested with the Bills Stadium. I did my other tests, and everything came back right. So I'm good to go. I've been quarantining, doing everything that we got to do. So everybody, if you are traveling, please do everything that everybody's telling you to do. Don't mess it up for the rest of us. We want to continue to have Bills fans at Bills games every week up until the Super Bowl, which Joe and I hopefully will be at as well. So just keep that going. Yeah.
So what do you think, Clay? We're gonna make him stick around for a couple more minutes, or do you want to let him go?
It's up to him. I mean, I'm always down to hang out. I was pretty excited to see that he was on here.
I think we keep him around.
Y'all. It's family. I'm around.
Come hang out.
We keep him around. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching and potentially listening the day after, or a couple days after, the Hump Day Hotline, which is on the Buffalo Fanatics multicast network. I'm trying to find a background that works, and I don't have one because even this one, it's all cut off. So I think I'm going to go back to the stadium view, or this stadium view. This stadium view works, right?
Good
so
one. Yeah.
We're like, it is what it is. And I'm your host. If you look down here, Joe freaking Miller, that's a holdover from the Hoof Live. That's a holdover from the Hoof Live last night that I was on with Stirls for the Girls, Anthony and Eric. But whatever platform you're watching on, so YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, whatever it is, hump that like, jump on that like. We got a whole bunch of people up in here, and I've got a small fraction of likes.
Do it that way.
Jump on that like button. Also, share this thing. Let your friend know that you're watching. Tell them to jump in the chat with you. Drive this ship for us as we begin our conversation right now with Clay Troya, who is the host of the Buffalo Counterpoint podcast from Buffalo Fanatics, as well as my guy, Jay Spence, who is the host of the Code of Conduct podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings podcast network. I'm almost out of breath. And if you want to get our attention, as always, you got to super chat us. Not only because we like the money, but I got to pay for those Bills tickets somehow, but also
you got to hump those likes.
And you got to hump those likes, but also because it gets our attention. So there's a whole bunch. Periscope is down. I don't know if that's good
ugly.
or not. It's probably not bad.
That's ugly. That's bad. That's Twitter.
All three people can't watch.
You don't get views from Twitter?
Not a whole lot. Most of the people are on YouTube. So okay. I've got 259 people watching on YouTube, and I've got 296 total. So yeah, like everybody is on YouTube as far as that goes. With that being said, Clay, how you feeling about this football game coming up on Saturday?
I feel pretty good. I mean, at this point, I kind of feel like we could beat anyone anyway. So to me, it's just kind of, what the game plan is going to be and if they can go out and execute. I think really that's the only thing to do at this point. I have complete faith in the coaching staff that they're going to be able to come up with a game plan that's good. And it's, just all about executing from there. It's all about, mindset. It's the playoffs now. So I'm hoping it's not the mindset doesn't change. That's what the one thing I might be a little worried about is if the mindset changes for the players a little bit, because it's, it's a little amped up. It's, now is when it counts. So hopefully they can keep that same energy and, continue to just have fun and play football.
That's actually a really good point. Jay Spence, thoughts on the team getting a little tight this week?
Well, I mean, to our earlier conversation, that's why I didn't want them to have the full week off. Like, I'm happy that at least the starters played the first half, because, you don't want to go into it with no momentum. So, I'm happy. I don't think we're going to start off slow. I think we're going to come out. I think we're going to punch them in the mouth.
Yeah, I agree. To me, first glance at this football team, run game, right? And that's that's literally the first question that I have for Clay. And I'll ask it to Clay first, and then Spence, you can jump in. After seeing the Colts and the Titans run up an insane rushing numbers and still almost lose to poor teams, the Colts and the Titans rather, are you concerned about Jonathan Taylor in this football game, or is it a situation where if Jonathan Taylor rushes for 180 yards, which no running back has done on the Bills. So Josh Jacobs, which you were super concerned about when that Raiders game happened, Spence. So pick a guy. Edwards-Helaire had a good game, but we literally opened the floodgates for Edwards-Helaire. But by and large, nobody has really gone nuts. If Jonathan Taylor goes nuts on us, is it a situation where you just let him and you stop Phillip Rivers and you score 40 points and put this one to bed? What do you think, Clay?
For me, I feel like it would be the opposite, because Jonathan Taylor is the biggest threat on the team. Him and Nyheim Hines both. So for me, it's you stop those two guys and you make Phillip Rivers beat you, because I think if anything, Phillip Rivers having to beat you is the way you want to go if you're the Bills. He's a good quarterback. He can throw the ball. He's been doing it for years. He's smart. He's seen it all at this point. So, it's not like you can really trick him that much, but, physically, does he still have it there? And can you cover their guys? That's pretty much all it comes down to for me. And I think the Bills can do that. I think what they need to do is just, stop the run with Jonathan Taylor as much as possible. I still think he's going to be able to perform pretty well. Like lane integrity for Tremaine Edmonds is going to be huge this week because Jonathan Taylor likes to be able to wiggle around and find his way, and he'll get you to go through the wrong lane pretty easily. So I think that stopping him is going to be priority number one, and then you can worry about if Phillip Rivers starts to beat you, adjust your game plan, and then try to focus on the pass. But until Phillip Rivers proves that he can beat the Bills, I say stop the run game and then go from there.
If Phillip Rivers starts to beat you, you pull the defensive backs off the field and slap him in the head.
Right? Well, I don't know. I'm 50-50. I don't know, because the thing is, we've seen the fact that Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback. He's good. The problem is no, he's a good quarterback. He has all the intangibles that need to be there to be a good quarterback. He just hasn't consistently put it together. So the thing is, I don't think it's impossible for him to put a good game together. I've seen Phillip Rivers enough over the last 15 years to know that he can come out there and put a good game together and really break our hearts. The question about Jonathan Taylor, yes, he does concern me. And it's only because that's the only part of our defense, although it has improved, it's the only part of our defense that's still, in my opinion, a question mark. When you look at our pass defense, yeah, we give up passing yards, but I feel like since week one, even last season and the season before, Sean McDermott's philosophy is a bend but don't break. So he'll give up yards between the 20s.
Sure. What
ends up happening once you're in that red zone, that's a different conversation. But when it comes to the running game, it seems like we get gashed. It's like those heartbreaking runs on 3rd and 8, those 3rd and 11, where somebody will get 19 yards on a 3rd and 3. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about. And Jonathan Taylor is the perfect type of running back to like, he just takes advantage of all of those opportunities. And he's the guy I wanted. I'm a huge Zach Moss fan, but Jonathan Taylor is the running back that I wanted out of last year's draft.
The only thing I would challenge you on, that was a great comment. That was a great response, both of you actually. And the only thing I would challenge you on, Spence, is that this is a bend but don't break defense to a point. It's bend but don't break until we figure you out. And then it's a shut you down defense. Did I say offense? Defense. Whereas like the Walt Corey defenses of the past were legit. Bend but don't break. Give up everything between the 20s. And then after that, like really kind of tighten up. But by and large, like this defense is just totally different. I love this. Brian Bowers going to bat for Bills Mafia. Peter J516. It's amazing how many non-Bills fans find their way into our chat. This is true. I think, Spence, you were with us back when the Dolphins started climbing in like months ago. Here's the thing. So here's the warning to any non-Bills fans that are in our chat right now. Everybody that's come in has gone away not happy, right? Like Dolphins fans, 49er fans. Like there was I think Clay and I were around for the 49er guy that was in here, and he was like, he was being complimentary, but then he was like, you guys are crazy. There's no way you're going to beat us. Then we like totally like slammed him into the turf, and it's destroyed them. I would just warn everybody, like literally, if you are a fan of another team, you might want to go find a different chat room to be in tonight, just because it doesn't go well. What's up? You got your hand up.
We're called the Mafia for a reason. Carry on. Very
good. Clearly, the Bills are going to focus on stopping the run, which is what we've just been talking about. What does Rivers have to do to beat the Bills in this football game? Jay Spence, you just talked about a little bit more, or a little bit a second ago. Refine that. What is Phillip Rivers? What is he going to have to do? Because for me, something that's not being talked about, and I brought it up last night on the Hoof Live with Sturls and the guys, is the fact that you've got a quarterback in Phillip Rivers who has made a living with a noodle arm. I've called him Noodle Arm Rivers his whole entire career. There's nothing about his arm that has ever scared me. What has scared me about Phillip Rivers is his ability to anticipate and his intelligence. He's letting the ball go seconds before defensive backs are expecting it. However, we've got a cornerback in Tre'Davious White, right, who basically lives his life covering a receiver with his eyes glued on the quarterback. This is not a situation where Rivers is going to have the luxury of putting the ball up in the air a second and a half, Chad Pennington style, for James, who's a big Chad Pennington fan.
Huge Chad fan, yeah.
He's not going to be able to let that ball go a second early like he normally does, to at least to Trey's side, because Trey's going to be eyeing him, right, going down the field.
Yep.
What does he have to do to beat this Buffalo Bills football team?
I'm going to be honest. I think that the key to victory for the Colts, he has to go to basically pull from the old Patriots handbook, and not as far as like pull from the actual playbook, but do literally what Tom did. Stop trying to be the winner of Phillip Rivers. Like, stop trying to throw 30-yard passes that are backbreakers for the defense. Stop doing that. What you need to do is take what the defense gives you, turn your passing game into your running game by throwing into your slot, giving those quick 3-yard slants that turn into 15-yard gains. That's what he needs to do. The problem with Phillip Rivers is that he wants way more. He's Josh Allen with the lack of arm. He has that mentality that I want to go out there and fling this thing. I want to win. I'm gonna throw it.
He does. He does have
but
that.
He doesn't have the talent. Yep.
Yeah, he does have that killer instinct. He's got that uber competitive drive in him. Clay, what do you think?
I was going to kind of say a similar thing. I mean, he's just got to take anything that the Bills defense gives him. Whatever's there, if it's open, take it. It doesn't matter how deep it is, in my opinion. He's got to get the ball out of his hands and into someone who can make a play pretty much. And, he spreads the ball around just fine. So I don't think he has a problem doing that, but I do think he does kind of have a little bit of a hero mentality where if he gets down a little bit or the team gets down a little bit, it's going to be tough for them. And another thing, kind of that goes back to the game plan, the Bills are going to stop the run until they don't need to anymore. If the Bills stop the run and get an early lead, they're not going to have to stop the run anymore because the Colts aren't going to want to run anymore. They're going to need to pass the ball in order to catch up. And that's the exact position that you want the Colts in, because I don't think if you get Phillip Rivers into a shootout situation where he has to go win the game, I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
What Clay is saying, go ahead, Jay Spence. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say to Clay's point, I don't think that we're even going to try to stop the run. I think what we're going to do is, like, even if they come out in the first, say they get the ball first and say they run it, cool, go ahead, do your thing. When we get the ball, we're going guns a-blazing. I think we're
Mhm.
trying to go up 2-3 scores as early as possible. Go ahead and run as much as you want. Please run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. We will go ahead, please. We'll part the Red Sea.
That is literally the crux of that question. The crux of the question was, do we stop the run, or do we let them kind of like do what they want to do, knowing that if they keep the ball on the ground, they're never going to be able to catch up to what we're trying to accomplish? Because literally, it's a 3-and-out. It's a 3-and-out philosophy, not a 3-and-out, but it's a turnover philosophy in the sense of like, can we get you to stop and punt to us? If you do, look out, because as much as Bojorquez, I got the only Bojorquez in Bills Mafia. As much as Bojorquez is leading the league. Oh, do you have one? Yeah. As much as you were supposed to buy Tyler Bass, bro, which you have not come through on.
It's coming. No, it's actually coming. I just wasn't going to say nothing until it came in. But it's
Tyler
coming.
Bass has broken the points record for a Buffalo Bills player. Like as a rookie, he broke Steve Christie's. I talked about it with John Fina last night. That podcast drops tomorrow. But as much as Bojorquez is leading the league and doing some great things, he's like punting not very often, which is crazy. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Bills tie up, or if they don't try to tie up Jonathan Taylor. It's going to be great. Real quick, Taj Fitzgibbons, which is Bills Army over on Facebook. So my wife knocked it out of the freaking park this Christmas. And I'll be honest with you, not only did she knock it out of the park, this was the right year, just in that, let's just say previous years, there wasn't a whole lot of Bills gear that I wanted. If that makes, like, babe, don't go spend $90 on something for me. Like they're going to be
it ain't worth it.
You're going to be 6 and 10. Like I wear like on my desk is my black hat. Like I wear, as you guys know already, I wear a lot of black. Like I am the man. I'm not Johnny Cash, but I'm the man in black. So it's the only reason I wear blue is to bring out my eyes, which this outfit and this ensemble does. But yes, this shirt is money. She got me the Salute to Service hoodie. She got me a couple other hoodies. My wife killed it this Christmas, so it was pretty great. Clay, you look like
real quick.
Yeah.
No, real quick. I love y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and hop out and watch the two of you while I finish eating my food. So I love y'all. Thank you for letting me join. Love Buffalo Fanatics. Love all y'all.
As quickly as he came, he's gone. We're waiting for you. Do you want me to click you out? I'll click you out. Great. Now I got to go back to the other brand.
I know you got to find the new background again.
Because you know that Manscaped read is coming. Everybody knows that Manscaped read is coming. Clay, it's good to see you tonight, brother.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
I was literally just about to say before he sidetracked me and gotten ahead of me that the three of us are actually going to be going to this football game.
Yeah.
So Spence and I are sitting together, and then you're in the end zone over there. But
yes, yeah.
That in and amongst itself is just kind of a cool just thing as it pertains to this game. I think it's going to be a warm game, and what I mean by that is I've been to a lot of Bills games. I'm guessing by the fact that you're going to this game that you've been to a lot of Bills games, home games, and you've been to a lot of winter games that were very cold. The warmest Buffalo Bills football game that I've ever been to was the last home Buffalo Bills game. I think the last one might have been the Jacksonville Jaguars. There was one before that in the night for the 90s run that was against the Dolphins. It was the Tim Tyndale game where Tim Tyndale had 100 and something crazy yards rushing and scored a bunch of touchdowns. That was the warmest winter game I'd ever been to because the Bills were just crushing them. I think there's a good opportunity for us for it to be 28 degrees outside and for us to be pretty warm in this football game.
Oh yeah, and sun's supposed to be out, and if the Bills are winning, I'm gonna be warm and fuzzy inside because I mean, just the opportunity to even be in the stadium for the playoff game, and it's something that's so rare that we're gonna be able to talk about and remember for years. It's we're very fortunate people to be able to be there.
Caitlin, I just had my brain stabbed today. So did Clay, and Jay Spence is getting his brain stabbed tomorrow. Don't put that evil on me. I'm not going to be hugging anybody or getting near anybody. I know you're kidding, but still. To that point about the fact that we just get to be in the stadium as a season ticket holder member since 1997. And that's when I started buying it with my dad, who was buying it with my grandfather. My grandfather got the tickets. I thought in 74 through this process, found out it was 77. But my grandpa got the tickets in 77. Dad started buying in somewhere around there. And then my grandpa was unable to go to the games anymore just because of physical age and stuff like that in about 97. This has been a tough year for me, but it's been good for my oldest, McKenna, which you guys have all heard me talk about a lot. My oldest daughter, who's a huge Buffalo Bills fan and knows more about football than a lot of guys I know. And that's the truth. People come to my house to watch football and she's telling them the rules and telling them why that was a penalty and why that wasn't a penalty and blah, 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 blah. She knows past players. She's struggling, bro. She's struggling because she's watched every game. This is like the year. This is like the year that the Bills have been good. She played fantasy football for the first time ever this year. She was in 2 leagues, league champion in both. Like,
wow.
Right.
Better than I did.
Like legit. Like, so like yesterday, no, I'm sorry. It was this morning. I had some errands to run this morning. I had to go get tested. Came home this morning. She was at the front door and like, she just kind of like fell into my arms and just tears flowing. She goes, I got to watch the game alone. Like, and this is the first time that she's really kind of connected. And I was like, baby, next year when this whole thing is over, like I'm going to be going to a lot of home games that you're not going to go to. And oh, by the way, when I was a kid, I didn't get to go to playoff games either. I went to one my whole life. Like, so yeah, she's it's going to be fun, dude. It's going to be,
I didn't get to go to playoff games either because we just weren't in any of them. So
that's a whole different reason. William Wilson, I don't have a bell. Do you have a bell? Ring my bell.
I have a bell. No,
oh, I don't know. There it is. Hey, bing, biggity, bing. Welcome to the Fanatics crew as you have now become a YouTube member. Thank you, William, for that. Cheers to you, sir. Having a lot of fun up here tonight in this preview game of the Buffalo Bills' first home playoff game in a very, very, very long time. William Wilson says he's been a Bills fan since he was 3 years old. Dude, I remember watching Joe Cribbs play football on the couch of my grandpa at my grandpa's house, like when I was a kid. So yeah. So, and I don't know who all saying they're jealous, but there's a whole bunch of people, and you should be, because there's only 6,700 of us going, and 2 of them are right here. 3 of them. The other third one was just with us a second ago. So, next question, Clay. If you're ready, are you ready?
Oh, absolutely.
There are, just so you know, there's like a crap ton of people up in here. I don't know what's going on, really? But Bill's Mafia is feeling the. You can't see it, right? You see my numbers?
No.
Yeah, there's 320 people up in here. There's 283 watching on YouTube. Yeah, so wherever you are, jump on that like button. So welcome into the Hump Day Hotline with your host, Joe Miller. That's me. Hello, Joe freaking Miller, as it says right there. And my co-host, Clay Troya, who is the host of the Buffalo Counterpoint podcast. People are excited, bro. Like, people, there's an energy out there. Like,
oh yeah.
I'm actually surprised that the super chats aren't flying more than they are. Because like even last night on the Hoof Live, the super chats were rolling because there's an energy.
Right. Yeah.
Question number 3. Rivers has had a habit of throwing untimely interceptions this season, and he's facing a very capable corner in Trey White, which I was talking about a little bit ago. Does he avoid Trey altogether, or do you think that Phillip Rivers is that gunslinger mentality guy still, where he's like, you know what, very much like Allen, I'm going to throw where my read leads me?
I mean, if he's throwing toward Tre'Davious White, he better be sure his guy's open, and he better be sure that pass is accurate, because if there's even a slight window for Tre'Davious White to, make a break on the ball, get his hand in there, he's going to do it. He's one of the best in the league at, his closing speed is insane. When comparing him to Levi Wallace, it's the goal, a lot of the times they play a soft coverage, but the difference between the two guys is Tre'Davious White has elite closing speed and Levi Wallace doesn't. So, but we've seen Levi Wallace play pretty well recently as well. He's kind of tightened down his coverage a little bit. He's not playing as soft, and he's looked good these past few weeks. So, right. I mean, honestly, it's if you want to pick your poison's definitely going to be Levi Wallace, but he can still play as well. And I think that people are starting to notice that he's stepping up toward the end of the season too. So, I mean, it's a tough decision on whether or not which direction you want to throw it in. But I do think Phillip Rivers, he's a really smart quarterback. He does kind of make a mistake sometimes when he gets too aggressive. I think that's kind of his downfall, is his aggression. But I think, we definitely could see a pick, and we know that Tre'Davious White likes to get his interceptions in the second half when it matters most too. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. But hopefully the game is so, the thing is both of these teams are first half teams.
Yeah, it's true.
So the Colts have been a first half team. In the second half, they usually kind of collapse anyway. So hopefully the same thing happens. The Bills, have been coming out really hot in the first half, and they've even kind of put together good second halves. Now they've had good third quarters recently, which we haven't seen under the Dable Allen era. We haven't really seen good third quarters until kind of halfway through this year. So it definitely could happen, and Phillip Rivers is going to have his hands full. The whole Colts team is going to have their hands full, because this is a very good Bills team.
Talk to me about whether or not you think that Dane Jackson has earned playing time. He played again in this football game against Miami, and the dude flashes. I don't know what it is in practice. So it's literally the Brian Winters conversation. Brian Winters was not good. The Bills insert him into the lineup. They bench Quentin Spain. Who the hell knows why? They keep him in the lineup, even though he's allowing the right side of the line to be completely collapsed, right? And then they finally move on from him, and it's oddly enough, when Feliciano gets healthy, which is fine, they put Feliciano in, and then they put Butker in, and all of a sudden that offensive line is stout. Why is Dane Jackson not getting more playing time? Like, because the kid clearly flashes when he's on the field.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, honestly. And I was really surprised to see that he wasn't one of the roster guys that they protected going into the playoffs. I thought for sure he was going to be one of the guys, along with Antonio Williams, who played a great game in garbage time as well. So I didn't even get to ask Spence about Antonio Williams. That was that was like on my plan to ask him about that when he showed up. Yeah, because he's another guy that likes the heavy runners, I think.
Well, he literally said last week on the Hoof Live, he said that if Antonio Williams comes into this football game and has a good game and looks like an RB1, then like literally we need to bench Moss and Singletary for the rest of this, like for the rest of the playoff. Like those guys just need to leave.
Yeah.
And the urgency that kid ran with was impressive.
He was trying to earn himself a roster spot, and I think he should have. Honestly, I think he should have been protected. I think Dane should have been protected. Those guys are good players, and they're young, good players. And I don't know if maybe their age is the reason why they haven't been called up. I think maybe McDermott wants more experience for the playoffs, which is why he's deciding to go with Levi Wallace and Josh Norman, just because those guys, they've been around for a long time. They're leaders. They're emotional leaders. At least Josh Norman is, because since he's been around forever. So I think that might be kind of the direction that they want to lead toward instead. And Taron Johnson's played way better in the second half.
And so is Levi. Levi.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about these guys, how they get so much better throughout the season. And the second half, they've just really kicked it up a notch. And when Taron Johnson's got help on the outsides, he does better in the slot himself, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been playing well too. So it's hard to say on exactly why they're not bringing Dane up, but I don't think we'll see him down for too long. I think, of course, if anyone gets injured, he's going to be the guy that gets bumped up for sure.
Well, Norman's going to take the field, but the first.
Yeah, but Dane will be on the roster at least if someone gets hurt. Williams too. He should have gotten a spot. Even if you have to bring out 3 running backs, or I guess it would be 4 if we if you want your special team. Yeah, Taiwan Jones, your special teamer in there as well. I think
drops a lot. Like, he dropped the record. He dropped the record. And that was like Allen comes out and says the one record I wanted more than any other one was the 14 wide receivers. And it's like Taiwan Jones.
Yep. Yeah, that was I mean, what can you do about it though?
I got a couple super chats that have stacked up, but I want to get to this because there's an emotional connection. And I'm sure that every fan base has an emotional connection to their team. But Bills Mafia grows roots, and those roots go deep. So Anthony Fashona, thank you so much for the super chat. My father got me into the Buffalo Bills 35 years ago. He died in 2003 before he could see them hoist the Lombardi. If Buffalo can pull it off, it would be very emotional. It would be a very emotional moment for me. Real quick, talk to me about where you would be at as far as just the Bills win. How old are you? You're 24, right?
24, yeah.
I ask you that every single freaking week. We did at Clay Troya -24. Just put that like up there for me.
Yeah.
So, but even at 24, what does it mean for you? And like knowing your dad, like your dad's been a fan of this team, I'm sure forever, and the tickets have been in. I know that you got tickets, so I know the tickets have been in your family for a while. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah. So for me, the thing about being a Buffalo Bills football fan is most of the time it is so family oriented. And, even if your family isn't a Bills fan, the Bills fan base becomes a family to you anyway, which I think is so special about this fan base. Right. But the way that it does connect, actual families together is so awesome because basically from the moment you're born, you're a Bills fan. It doesn't happen later on in life most of the time. It's you're born into Bills fandom a lot of these times, and your parents pass it down. If you live in Buffalo, you pretty much are born into that fandom. And whether the team is good or bad, you're a diehard fan of the team every year. And every year you think, maybe they can do it. And maybe they can do it. And even when they are terrible and the team's terrible, you go into the season saying, well, there's no way we can win some games, but we could. And it's just after so many years of doing that, and especially for me, who's never seen a winning team. I was I think 8 years old when I went to my first game, and Drew Bledsoe was the starting quarterback, and so that was kind of the last like good quarterback that we had. We just saw Josh Allen break his record for yards in a season.
Kyle Orton.
Oh, jeez.
I love Kyle Orton. Why am I the only member of Bill's Mafia that loved this? I love Uncle Rico. I love him.
Kyle Orton, but he's a Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a backup. He's a top tier backup.
It's true.
But I liked Kyle Orton. He was fun, and it was kind of a nice change up between him and EJ, just because he was a more accurate passer. So
we gotta roll through.
Yeah. Let's get through these super chats here.
They're stacking up on me. Andrew Miller, my brother from another mother. What receiver should Trey take away, Hilton or Pittman? And this is a good question for Bills Mafia that has not been paying attention. What's funny about this football game, I'm going to let you answer, is the fact that the Colts have kind of been buried in our schedule. We have not seen in Buffalo the Colts really at all. I've got the Sunday ticket, and I haven't been paying attention to the Colts. Hilton is obviously their number one. Pittman, if I'm not mistaken, is leading their team in reception, either receiving yards or receptions. Which one are we taking away? Who's Trey? Is Trey sticking to his side? Is he following a guy? I think he's sticking to his side. What do you think?
I think he's going to stick to his side. I don't think he's going to follow anyone. I don't think there's any one receiver. And like we said, Phillip Rivers will distribute the ball very evenly as well. So I don't think there's any one guy that really necessitates Trey White following him around. Right. I think Levi Wallace can do a fine job. If Josh Norman's in, he can do a fine job of covering either of those guys. He might give up a couple plays here and there, but he's the guy that's going to get the bulk of the targets if he's opposite Trey White. So, I think they'll stick to their sides.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Market Dominator back in for another super chat. John Spascheck, my guy, $14.99, spending some cash tonight. So we give him the make it rain signal. Chances that Cole Beasley plays, I'm going to say 100%. For me, when he got hurt in that football game, he walked off. He was kind of dejected on the sidelines, but he didn't leave. He didn't go to the locker room. He didn't get carted off. He didn't end up out of his uniform and in street clothes. He stayed on the bench. I think a lot of what happened last week was precautionary. I don't think there's any way that I was surprised he literally 50 yards. He only needed 50 yards to get 1,000. And I'm sure that he has somewhere in his, maybe not, maybe his incentive number is lower. I would assume that 1,000 yards is an incentive number for him. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts? I think 100% he plays.
I mean, I'm not sure, but just because he hasn't been practicing, but Cole's the kind of guy where he doesn't need to practice in order to
hurt every game. He's hurt every game.
Like, I don't know. It's with a knee injury like that. He's one of the quick cuts kind of a guy. You need to have your knees in good shape for that, or especially if it's something where if something's partially torn, he could have a partially torn meniscus or something. You can play on something like that, but it's gonna hurt, and then you can fully tear it, in which case you will be out. So if it's something like that where if we don't really know, I think all we know is that it's a knee injury. Do we know anything beyond that?
No, and that Barkley caused it. That's all we know.
Oh, okay. I don't know, but like I said, he's not a guy where he could not practice every day of this week, and then come game time, if he's feeling good and he's up to it, they could play him because he'll be ready. He's one of those guys. He's a veteran. He knows the playbook. He'll be good to go even if he doesn't practice.
Super good. Truth to Hearts with the super chat. Thank you for being a part of the show, sir. We appreciate you. Don't overreact on what you saw. Good choice of words, by the way. With Antonio Williams, remember, Dolphins suck against the run, and they don't have film on him. That no film on a player is a big deal. When a quarterback comes in that like a defense has never seen, it seems like I don't care how bad they are, they light them up. Running back, same thing. Just right? They just they just do whatever. Like they just do really. You got to be talented. Let's start there first of all. Let's throw a football. I don't disagree. It's not the fact that he played well. It was the urgency that he ran with. For me, he just had a different gear than we've seen in Singletary, and I don't know that it's a physical gear that Moss and Singletary have, and it's basically that speed. Like when he hit the holes versus being a little more patient. And I'm not saying patience. If you're Le'Veon Bell, as we know, the most patient runner in football is a good thing. So I don't know if you've got to follow up with that or not. Or
even Jonathan Taylor, he's a patient runner as well. He'll make his cuts in the backfield, set up his blocks, and then hit the hole. That's the way that he plays. He plays very smart and calculated. Whereas Antonio Williams plays, I'm going to run through you at full speed, and it's just a different play style. And I think the Bills need someone like that, because I mean, there's business decision Moss, who has made a couple hits, but he is still kind of a guy where he'll dance around a little bit. He'll try to set up his blocks and things like that. I just don't think Antonio Williams cared. I think he was just like, yeah, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to run full speed, and if someone's in my way, I'm going to hit him. So I thought that was a great mentality. I would like to see that out of Moss more.
Yes, I agree. Ryan Virgilio, thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for the super chat. Can we get a score prediction? We will. Be patient. We're going to get there. Also, with the Antonio Williams game, Christian Wade may never get a chance, especially with his age. I'd like to see him get a chance, even if it's not with us. Just a good story. He can't actually play. Do you know the rules? I know that he cannot join the active roster. Do you know the rules? Can you talk about it?
They've got him protected on the international program. So they've got him protected. So he's protected on our roster. We can't get signed by anybody else or anything like that. But we can't pull him up and actually play him in a game until next year. But yeah, I kind of agree with that. The age is concerning. I like Christian Wade. It's cool. It was cool to see him do what he did. In that one preseason, but I think he might be too old at this point. We have enough small running backs on this team already. So
he's fast.
He is fast. That is true. He's definitely got the most speed out of anybody. So he might be, if his speed is worth keeping him around, and his, I don't know how vision is. It's different in the game of rugby because there's more. It's kind of back and forth. You're weaving in and out both directions. So for him, I don't know how his vision would be and things like that. But, he could contribute in the future, possibly.
I think what's interesting about Christian Wade, and clearly I've never done research or homework on him, but like hearing the conversation of the comments in the preseason 2 years ago about him being a superstar in rugby, and the fact that he gave all of that up, right, to come basically ride the pine in Buffalo for the NFL. There's got to be more to the story than that, right? I mean, there's got to be. If he literally was like a superstar in rugby, why would you be like, yeah, I'm going to go be a bench guy for 2 years with the Buffalo Bills? Like not the Bills are where you wouldn't want to be, but why would you join an experimental international transition thing when you're like a superstar? It'll just be interesting. And Ryan, just we will get to score predictions here in a minute. I think I've got one more super chat. I just got to find it. So give me a moment. You guys are killing I don't. You guys are killing the comment section. Yeah. You guys are killing the comment section. 320 people up in here. Welcome. If I have not said it or even not heard me say it yet, into the Hump Day Hotline. It's so good to have you guys. I'm Joe Miller. I'm joined by my co-host Clay Troya. The Colts, Clay, as we get back to the questions, are 20th in passing defense and second in rushing defense. Boy, if there was a glove to fit the hand, it's this one.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the funny thing is there's guys in the comment section being like, don't be surprised if you lose. Well, first of all, it's the playoffs. So I'm not going to be surprised if we lose, because everybody that made it outside of the Washington Redskins are a very good football team.
The worst team in the AFC has an 11-5 record in the playoffs. Right. That's impressive. So
if we lose, okay, it sucks, but it is what it is. However, if there was a matchup made in heaven for a quarterback that has gone out and throttled like great pass defenses, Josh Allen, like they're 20th in the passing and defense in the league and second on the rush defense. What sort of fits the Bills like a glove? I said that already. Do you think we see the Colts rush 3 this whole game? So almost like not parroting, but like kind of masking or doing what the Patriots did, dropping 6 in the coverage. Or do you think they go more of the limit possessions route, which is like, we're going to open up the run game and we're going to let them run? Where are your thoughts on defensively what the Colts are going to do against us?
Yeah, I mean, if they can figure out how to do it, where they are covering what they should be doing, covering pass, they should forget. I mean, basically, they should not care at all if the Bills run the ball, because they have great tacklers and everything like that. They should be worried 100% on the Bills passing offense, because that's what's going to beat them. I think we are not going to see very many rushing attempts in this game unless the Bills get a huge lead. I just don't think, and even if we get a huge lead, it might not be until the fourth quarter or late fourth quarter that you see the rushing attempts start to pile up, just because the Bills are a pass first team. We've seen Dable abandon the run before successfully, against Seattle. We just didn't run the ball. We just passed the ball and it works. We succeeded in doing that. So I think that's probably what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of passing. And I mean, the way that he schemes it up, it's going to be tough. He's so smart about being able to take away your guys. And I don't know if you saw the breakdown that Dan Orlovsky did for against the Dolphins, where
oh gosh, what he said. He said, I've never seen this play before.
And it's amazing. I've never seen anyone. He managed to take someone completely out of the play just with a scheme. And that was
a free player, a man free. He took a man free out of the scheme.
Yeah, and that's just that's crazy. Where it's just there was a guy standing in the middle of the field, literally, who had nothing to do. His assignment didn't matter at all because he was covering Isaiah McKenzie, who was blocking a defensive end. I don't know how that worked, by the way. Right. Isaiah McKenzie's like 5'2", so I don't know.
What makes that play work is the fact that the Bills receivers can get open.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And if they weren't able to get open, by the way, it was a perfect throw on that throw. That was the deep shot to John Brown. But yeah, I mean, his play design is so complex, so well thought out that it's going to be hard. And even, we saw what happened against the Patriots, even though they sent out as many defensive backs as they could fit on the field, it didn't work out for them either. So it's going to be, I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I think really the only way that you can stop the Bills offense is to make the pocket collapse around Josh Allen. You can't let him roll out, because if he rolls out to the right,
he's going to escape.
Yeah. But you have to, it's the hardest thing to do, which is just make it collapse and truly collapse around him so that he has nowhere to go. Even still, we've seen him get out of those. It's like, what was you going to say?
I was just going to say that. Go ahead.
Yeah. And it's so, when you think about it from the other team's perspective on how do you stop Josh Allen, I haven't found an answer yet. I think you just have to hope that he has an off day, because this season, I think that's the only time we've schemed a couple games. The Patriots game, we tried to run the ball, and to our success. And I think they were scared of the DBs, the 6 DBs at that point. They weren't scared the second time. They knew who they were, and they went out and they threw the ball. So I think you just have to hope that he has an off day, because if he's playing well, it's almost impossible to stop him.
Caitlin, I'm going to get to your super chat in a second. I just want to say this. I retweeted 2 breakdowns today. One was the first one by Dan Orlovsky that you just talked about. The second one was, and that speaks to Brian Dable, and it speaks to this wide receiver core. The other one was the Brian Baldinger breakdown, and I actually edited down his video to just Josh Allen. And it was the 19-yard play to Isaiah McKenzie that was over the middle after he escaped pressure to his left. Mm-hmm. So the pocket was collapsing, and he felt it collapse around him, and he just scoots to his left. And the thing in that moment for me was the fact that there was 20 yards open in front of him. He very easily could have just been like, see ya, and just deuces and took off. Instead, he sidearm, he put Isaiah McKenzie in a spot where only he could get the ball and just flicked it out there 19 yards, and Isaiah went straight down. That game could have been so much different if those receivers were interested in running after the catch.
Yeah.
How many balls did they catch and just fall to the ground?
I'm very happy. That's exactly what we needed. Get the 20-yard catch and just take yourself out of the play. We don't need you to get hurt before the playoffs.
It was crazy. Caitlin Blunt, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you for the super chat. For people worried about Dable leaving, Allen and our offense will be fine without Dable, but Dable won't be fine without Allen. I hope he stays, though. Do you have any comments, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Dable is a big part. I think because his schemes are so complex, so sophisticated, I think he is a big part of Josh Allen's success and his growth, really. We've seen from last year to this year, it's the understanding of the playbook, which is a thing in itself. It's his 3rd year in this playbook. It's his 3rd year working with Brian Dable. And, there's a back and forth there at this point, because they've been working together now, and Josh is comfortable with the team and comfortable, taking the reins. So it's going to be, there might be a slight regression with a new offensive coordinator just in the beginning until they can get that chemistry back. But I mean, when you've got the weapons around you, and Josh really has been playing out of his mind, his throws have been on point, his decisions have been great. So as long as there's a half competent OC, I think he'll be fine in the end. But Dable, I think wherever he goes is going to do amazing. I think right now, I think he's going to end up with the Chargers, which is the most desirable landing spot in my opinion.
Hush your mouth.
I'm just saying, they're a really good team. He's got a connection with the GM, and it's younger Josh Allen out there at the quarterback position.
On one of the retweets that I did on the play breakdowns, somebody had asked me, at what point is this Josh Allen and is it Brian Dable? So is it Brian Dable that's doing this, or is it Josh Allen? And for me, you can have the most brilliant genius of a play caller as a play designer ever. Once the ball is snapped, it's chaos.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so there's an aspect of like, for me, Josh Allen losing Brian Daboll, is it going to be a problem? Possibly. And the only reason that I say possibly is, you see, it takes time for quarterbacks to find a new rhythm with a new play caller if it's not going to be Ken Dorsey or with a new offense. I'm not so sure because Josh Allen enters the offseason different with a different mindset than other quarterbacks have. And I'm not saying that other quarterbacks, it's always the first guy in, last guy out, blah, blah, blah. Studies harder than everybody else. We hear that about all of them. But when you take into account what Jordan Palmer said about the way Josh Allen works in the offseason, when you see what Josh Allen did with Stephon Diggs, like in the offseason to come in with chemistry with him, how they worked and operated, the fact that like we've heard stories recently that even in this preseason, like he's the guy that's staying after throwing extra balls with Isaiah McKenzie, who's the fifth guy, right? I mean, it's not like he's like the number 2 guy. He's the 5th guy. But Allen's like, no. If we got to work on this, we'll work on it. I don't know how much it makes a difference other than the timing of the play calls. And what's interesting about that is I would accuse myself of being corrected or shut up by Daboll, because last year I thought his play call timing at times was very suspect.
I would agree 100%.
Last year I felt like he had no feel for situational football. It's like, that's the play you called now? And right now, with Josh Allen playing the way and executing the way that he needs him to execute and play, he looks like a genius.
Yeah.
So chicken or the egg? It's literally chicken or the egg.
And I think it's a little bit of both on why they're so successful. And even just that play that Dan Orlovsky broke down. Great play design. You're taking one of the guys out of the play. You're making it a true one-on-one matchup on the outside. But your quarterback still got to make the throw. Your receiver still got to get open. It's still, Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. So it's, it's a similar situation where once the snap goes, you still got to perform. You still got to do your thing, regardless of, how good that play call was. So would Josh Allen maybe regress? I think initially maybe, but he did just because he's got to get used to his new play caller, and his play caller's got to get used to him. I mean, really, a play caller's job is to call plays that his quarterback is comfortable in and can perform in. So
both teams that are meeting this weekend have been very good at takeaways this year. The Bills more so at the end of the season. So I think the Bills are at 26 takeaways. I think the Colts are at 24, 25. Takeaways are they going to be a big part of this football game, or obviously I don't want it's not a softball. Oh yeah, takeaways. Whoever wins the takeaway battle wins the game. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, are we talking about a situation where like this defense is going to make a huge difference, or their defense is going to make a huge difference? Like, where do you see the takeaway factor in this football game?
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to affect the final score that much, just because both teams they're kind of even in how many times they get turnovers and how many times they turn the ball over. They're both pretty clean. They don't really give up that many turnovers. And they both, they can be opportunistic. I don't know. I think it depends mostly on if it's Josh Allen fumbling the ball, that's an issue. If it's Josh Allen throwing interceptions, I don't think it's as much of an issue, just because the fumbles, to me, I don't know why it's, you get a little better field position. I think it demoralizes him even more than an interception would, because it's like, well, an interception, at least I was firing it toward my guy and I was trying to make something happen. If you fumble the ball, it's just kind of like, well, damn, I kind of messed that one up. So I don't know. As long as we don't fumble the ball, I think we'll be okay. An interception or two is fine here or there. He'll come back from that and he'll sling it around. I even think if the Bills are negative in the turnover differential, I think they could still win the game.
Who are the nameplates on the back of the defensive jerseys Bills Mafia has to be worried about this weekend?
Oh, geez. I mean, it's mostly going to be on the in the defensive front. I guess mostly in the defensive front seven. You've got a very good linebacker, Darius Leonard. He is an absolute beast.
Stop reading ahead.
I'm sorry. he's an absolute beast, and funny guy too. Listen to his interviews. He's and then you've got veteran guys up front as well. You've got DeForest Buckner, I believe, is in the middle there, and then what's his face there? Played for the Chiefs, Justin Houston. And then he's up there as well. They've got guys that are in there that can definitely make a difference. It's just I don't know if they can do that on the back end. I don't know if that secondary is going to be able to stop it.
These aren't guys named Joey Bosa, TJ Watt, and Cam Hayward. And oh, by the way, they don't have TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, and then Minkah Fitzpatrick in the back end, like Joe Hayden in the back end. Like, as much as that's what's been played out, like, oh, the Bills got to be worried about this defense. The Colts play decent defense, but their pass defense is not great. To your point, I expect to see Bills wide receivers open all day long in this football game, all day long. So the market dominator back again, and it's time. I need to get some sort of I need to create a video, right? So like a hype video. John Spascheck says, love yous, but I'm only sticking around to hear Clay's Manscaped take this week. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I give you, with the Manscaped, this is the Hump Day Hotline, brought to you by Manscaped. Clay Troya?
And I have a question for you.
I don't know if I can answer this question.
Well, what did Cinderella do when she got to the ball?
She danced.
She gagged, and that's because Prince Charming doesn't manscape. If Prince Charming would manscape, it wouldn't be a problem at all. And that is that's his biggest problem, from what I've heard. There's a couple different directions I could take it this week. I was thinking about doing a Phillip Rivers has 20 kids joke, but I couldn't resist the Cinderella joke.
Yeah, that's good. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you go, are you done, or can I?
I'm done. I'm ill prepared this week. My apologies.
The reason that Cinderella gagged was because Prince Charming. I don't know why they were doing the naked dance at the ball, but apparently they were doing the naked dance.
Oh, I'm talking about a different ball.
Rough. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you go to manscaped.com and you put in the promo code Fanatics, we are going to be more than happy to give you 20% off and free shipping. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that a whole lot of y'all, and there's 300 people up in here, have ordered from Manscaped. I'm on the replenishment plan. I actually get 3 brand new pairs of boxers every 3 months or every 2 months from Manscaped. I have the whatever that shaver is, the weed whacker thing, I think is what it's called. I've got all the lotions and tonics and stuff like that. It's a product worth buying, especially if you're a guy. And ladies, Caitlin Blunt, if you got a guy, whoever the ladies that are in the house, if you've got a guy, buy it for your guy. He will not be disappointed. He will not be upset that you bought this.
I forgot. My dad sent me a little bit of Manscaped merch here, so I forgot to wear my Manscaped shirt on the Hump Day Hotline. I'll have to save it for next week.
The giggles that my 14-year-old got when that shirt came, because they send that shirt for you for free if you buy the whole package.
Right.
And
yeah.
It's like my 14-year-old was like, K-Dog, thank you for the super chat. Can you guys believe that Josh Allen is breaking all these records of Jim Kelly's best, and he is only in year 3? What is this kid's ceiling? I have thoughts. So I don't know if you have not yet gone in and watched the Jordan Palmer interview on One Bills Live yesterday, every single person, all 300 of you, need to go and watch. As soon as I hang up, so as soon as I end this broadcast, go to the Buffalo Bills YouTube channel, watch the One Bills Live interview with Jordan Palmer from yesterday, because he breaks down Josh Allen and kind of what's going to happen this offseason, and the fact that they've got plans to work on more aspects of his game. Couple points of note. He mentioned to Brownie and to Steve Tasker that Josh Allen has not hit his ceiling yet, to which Brownie's jaw almost audibly hit the table. Like he looked at Tasker like, are you serious right now? This kid hasn't hit his ceiling, which I agree with. I don't know that we have seen Josh Allen in a 7-game stretch be lights out, which to me, that's when you're zoning it for like 4, 5, 6 games. That's when you've hit your ceiling. Allen hasn't found that yet. He also went on to talk about game managers versus great quarterbacks. And he said so many times we confuse those terms. And by that, what he meant was, guys like Aaron Rodgers are great game managers. Guys like Pat Mahomes are great game managers. And then he said Josh Allen at this point, because of his knowledge of the game, knowledge of the offense, knowledge of defenses, is an elite game manager. And he has elite arm talent. This kid has more room to grow. He's got more places to go as far as to find his ceiling. It's an interview that you want to listen to. And John Fina in the Off Deck with John Fina show did not listen to that interview, said very similar things about Allen. And that podcast is going to come out tomorrow on the Buffalo Fanatics Podcast Network, hosted by me, Joe Miller, the voice of the Overreaction Podcast. Thoughts on that, on his ceiling?
Yeah, I don't think he has one, honestly. And that's just because the way that he works. And I think that's something Jordan Palmer said in that interview as well, is that he really just doesn't have a ceiling. And that's just because he works so hard. Right. I mean, every offseason, when he finds out what he's going to work on, he'll focus in on it. This year it was the deep ball, which is improved vastly from last season. So the way that he works, the way that how hard he trains and coaches. You know, he goes and finds external coaches like Jordan Palmer to help him out. I mean,
he went
yeah,
Brett Favre like crazy.
Yeah, and it's honestly just I don't think he has a ceiling. You know, when he gets there, I guess we won't know his ceiling until he starts to regress from it,
Right.
which I think is going to be years down the line. So when he starts to get old and that arm strength isn't there, the mobility is not there, I think that's when we'll know, okay, that was his ceiling right there.
Sure.
But I don't think we've hit it yet. I still think he's on the way up. He still has room to improve, and there's things that he can do better, which is crazy to think about him being able to do things better. But I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers this year. His passer rating, Aaron Rodgers' passer rating is absolutely insane. He's got like a 122 passer rating average on the season, which is
almost perfect.
Yeah, it's crazy how he could average that throughout an entire season. I think Josh Allen has the potential. He can be able to do that in the future as well.
For sure. Tim Vanderclock, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Welcome into the Hump Day Hotline, and thank you for the super chat. Can someone please confirm that if we win, that he will not be the only one with leaky eyes? Hump that like. Clay, are you going to cry?
I'm not going to cry, and that's because I expect
football game. I'm probably not going to cry if we win this football game. I'm going to be amped.
Right.
If we win the Super Bowl, all bets are off.
Yeah, Super Bowl, we could see some waterworks, but this game I expect them to win. So going into it, I'm like, well, they should win this game. So it's more for me. It's when this is unbelievable type of a thing, and that's when I start crying. Bills winning the Super Bowl would be unbelievable for me. So yeah, might cry a little bit then.
Not only are all bets off, but if the Bills win the Super Bowl, there's going to be a party at my house in Lakeview, New York, Hamburg. John Fina is going to be here, and we're going through tables. So we were actually talking about it yesterday when we were recording the Off Tackle show, and John's like, we got to figure out a way to like make it a big event and like do something for charity. I'm like, bro, I'm in. I was like, you're talking my language now. Like, if we're talking about helping the community, I'm in. Like, let's do it. So yeah, everybody stay tuned for that. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Hump Day Hotline on the Buffalo Fanatics Multicast Network. I'm your host, Joe Miller, the voice of the Overreaction Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. I'm joined by my co-host, Clay Troya. You can find him on Twitter at Clay Troya. He is the host of the Buffalo Counterpoint Podcast, which is a must listen if you're consuming Bills content. Turn off the radio. Turn on Clay and myself and all of the content creators over at Buffalo Fanatics. Let's get into, as we wrap this thing up, we got about 2 minutes left. Let's talk about score predictions. And I have a score prediction, and I've heard a lot of people with the same score. It's getting really weird because that usually does not happen. Like I've heard 4 different people with the same score prediction.
Well, I hope mine is not the same.
As you're talking, and give me the reason. So give me the score prediction and break it down a little bit, how you think the Bills might get there. I'll start flashing some of the Bills Mafia score predictions, and then I'll give you mine. What's your score prediction and why?
For me, it's 31-28 Bills. I think
that's close.
Yeah, I think the Colts are a good team. They're overlooked, and it's the first playoff game. So I think the Bills still have a little bit of lingering feelings from last year's playoff game. And I do think the mentality will change slightly, but only for this game. I think they go into this game, the mentality is, okay, it's the real deal now. And they might tighten up a little bit. It might be a little bit of nerves kicking in because
I like you, Dan. You're my favorite.
But yeah, it's in I think they might get a little bit nervous, and it'll take a little bit for them to settle in and relax. I think they might be a little slow in the first quarter. I hope I'm wrong because they've come out absolutely on fire in the first half these past few games. So I hope they do that again. But I think there might be some jitters that they still have to settle into before they really start to get that momentum and feel it. And Phillip Rivers is a good quarterback, and he's not going to have many more opportunities to be in the playoffs. I think he's going to be playing with a big chip on his shoulder. So I think he's going to, he's got the extra motivation. Is that your score prediction?
Are you not a hockey fan?
Oh shit! Wait, is this the Rob Ray? There's a rule made after Rob Ray.
Funny story. I was this was probably 6 years ago. I was up in the North Towns, up in your part of the woods, and we were at on Transit, and there's a Dairy Queen up on Transit near where Buffalo Wild Wings used to be a long time ago. And we get out of the car because we were going to Dairy Queen, and legit, like I kid you not, Rob Ray sitting outside there eating ice cream, and I was like, hey, look, it's Rob Ray. Like literally just came out of my mouth that way. Hey, look, Rob Ray. And then we walked into the restaurant. Like, yeah. So I don't know if that's a real Rob Ray or not, but
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And then like Rick James from the other side of like eternity is apparently up in the house too.
He's back,
He's back.
He's a little legend.
Ryan Thiel says Bills will come out strong for Bills Mafia. Thank you for the super chat. That's so funny. I've got 38-24. And what's interesting about my prediction about 38-24, I think the Bills, they're onto something. They won the last 3 games, 29 points by a 29-point lead, 29-point lead, 30-point lead. The Bills are onto something. I don't know what that thing is that they're onto. He said no, he's from Rochester. Definitely don't want to get punched in the face by that guy. Anyways, I think Jonathan Taylor literally scores the 3 touchdowns for the Indianapolis Colts in this football game. When I told it to John Feeney, he was like, "Oh, that's a horrible horrible prediction." I'm like, "No, it's not. Like, I think that's indicative of what this game might be. I think the Bills try to shut them down on the ground." But I think the only success they have is literally on the ground, and it just doesn't get them to where they need to get. The Bills are going to put 38 on them, and they're going to be like struggling to get 24. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and Phillip Rivers isn't really a touchdown scorer. He can get you down the field efficiently enough, but it's going to be the running backs that are going to be scoring those anyway for the most part.
When the field shortens, he has a difficult problem. Like, yes, he's not Josh Allen as far as in the Josh zone, as I like to call it. Trey Ellis says, all the young quarterback talent in this AFC. Chat, what if Allen chose his hometown, the 49ers? I don't see him committing if the front office doesn't bring in more talent. Josh Allen, are you saying Josh Allen's leaving for the 49ers?
Josh Allen?
Like the Josh Allen like from the Bills or the linebacker Josh, or is he a defensive end? The defensive player Josh Allen? Because the Josh Allen we're talking about
Kyle Allen, the backup for the Redskins. There's no way Josh leaves unless something horribly unless they offer him a pitiful amount of money or something goes terribly wrong between him and the front office. He's not leaving anytime soon.
If we're going to have a real discussion about this, and we're making light of it, Trey, and I apologize, we're not necessarily meaning to make fun of you.
Yeah, sorry.
And I hate to bring up this word because Bills Mafia loves it. Hometown discount. If the Bills think that Josh Allen's taking a hometown discount, he might jet. I don't think Josh Allen's not taking a hometown discount, and the Bills they're not going to insult him in such a way. Josh Allen, when it comes time to get paid, they're going to roll up the Brinks truck, and as Greg Thompson likes to say, he's going to get all the Pagula bucks. Like,
yeah, he's going to get paid. He's going to take up a lot of cap once we finally get that contract out to him.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to get all the Pagula bucks. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a little bit over time. Thank you so much for watching the Hump Day Hotline here on the Buffalo Fanatics Multicast Network. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. I host a show called the Overreaction Sports Podcast, and it debuts. I have a preview game pod, which comes out day of the game, whatever the day the game is for the Bills. And then I always have a post-game pod that usually drops around 10, 11 o'clock at night after the Bills post-game, unless it's a primetime game. Then it usually hits the airwaves about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. But please look me up, find me, subscribe to my podcast. Would love to have you as a listener, not just a viewer. My co-host tonight is Clay Troya. Clay, tell them how to find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter over here at Clay Troya. Come talk sports with me. Love talking Bills. Other than that, I have a podcast as well, the Buffalo Counterpoint. I bring on someone who's a fan, podcaster, reporter for the team that we're about to play. So I found someone from the Colts this week, and we talked a little bit about the matchup, which was good because, to be honest, I haven't heard much about the Colts at all. They're for a team that's 11-5. I don't know if I'm alone in this. I know you kind of felt the same way. I had heard almost nothing about the Colts. So that was
Jonathan Taylor's all we've really heard about this year.
Yeah, exactly. So go give that a listen, and then you can learn a little bit more about the Colts from someone who reports on them on a weekly basis. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Guys, thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. I've got I'm going to run the show opener again, so you guys can watch some highlights. By the way, I didn't get to talk about it when it started. The Bills scoring 56 points makes show openers when they're inside of 30 seconds very hard because there's so many touchdowns to basically highlight. But thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. Myself, Clay, and Jay Spence are going to be at this football game, along with Hannibal Lecter and a whole lot of other people. We're really, really excited. First Bills home playoff game in a very, very long time, and we're amped. We can't wait. We hope you guys are excited too. We will catch you sometime after the game. But with that, this is Joe Miller saying, "Go Bills."
Go Bills.